Other interesting businesses, you have Wayfair opening their very first brick and mortar, which, interestingly enough, again, everyone says retail is dead, when really it's just evolving, and there are certain things that the pendulum will swing back. And interestingly enough, Wayfair, do you think they're going to be the trendsetter? Now, again, this comes to us thanks to Rob Sachs over at LinkedIn News, in which he says, quote, Wayfair sees brick and mortar stores in the future. The online retailer told CNBC it's opening the first large format store in Wilmette, Illinois. I just stopped you right there. Of all the places to open up a store, I mean, when was the last time I was in Wilmette? When I was a teenager, maybe? Sounds so familiar. And I grew up in the Midwest. I had to have been there inevitably at one point in my life. When I think of starting a brick and mortar, I don't think of Illinois, which has some of the highest taxes. And you look at people moving out of the state, Illinois, New Jersey, California are some of the top states where people will be migrating away from those areas. So those prospective clients are going to pretty much anywhere else in the United States. So it's very interesting that they chose Illinois. Now, granted, in terms of like a shipping hub for international products, I know that's one of the few reasons Chicago still exists at all. But let's see what else they have to say. They also say that they believe that they're opening up the store at that location to leverage the advantage of shopping in person, better enabling customers to choose the right item. Wayfair, like other e-commerce companies, is facing challenges to its online model, including privacy concerns on Meta and Apple iOS, and competitions from rivals such as Shein and Temu. Wayfair joins a growing list of direct-to-consumer brands that have opened retail stores, including Figs, Warby, Parker, and Untuckit. Sounds like a made-up word, but apparently it's a company name as well. Interestingly enough, they also have bullet points saying retail store openings have surpassed store closings since 2022. And they also note that about 85% of retail sales in 2023 took place offline per census data. Now, unfortunately, they don't give us a nice link to actually give us some additional data on that data, because, I mean, just knee-jerk reaction when I hear that statistic. They say 85% of retail sales in 2023 took place offline. Now, my first question is, how do you define a retail sale? Some people can very well make the argument that that would include automotive sales, which that is one of the most expensive, complex things that most Americans will buy, second only to a house or a useless college degree. Rest in peace, people that got, or rest in peace to the idea of getting an underwater basket waving or a lesbian dance theory degree, which thankfully more people are waking up to the fact that you don't need that. It's just that. But I partially digress back to the Wayfair. That's another issue with Google and other censorious platforms. They're already starting to dramatically alter how you search things in terms of they now have an AI prompt. So instead of going to the website, like if you were just Google search, let's say Wayfair knickknack or Wayfair widget, instead of going just directly, see the first result, wayfair.com, and click on that, go to their platform, now Google is giving you a little AI summary. So you don't get that click rate. You're not going directly to the platform. And in theory, depending, you also have the suggestion, the sponsors ads, and sponsored suggestions. But a lot of these companies are going to be impacted by that recent development in Google as well. And it's a little bit hard to, again, there would be ways you could also censor this in terms of, if you ever notice, if you're using Google Maps, every once in a while you'll see, oh, hey, there's a store there. Well, it's because those stores are paying Google to have their store show up, even though you didn't search for that store. It just shows up along your route to wherever you want to go. So you can still be, somewhat censored, but having a brick and mortar, I suppose, does help in terms of having a presence as well. Now, in terms of, it'll be interesting to see what the biggest category is in terms of retailers. Because again, a lot of the big ones have been going away the past couple of years. Like when I say the big ones, I see a lot of the old brands that we knew and love. And I was gonna say, can't see it at this camera angle, but one of the signs behind me is from Pier 1 Imports. This is a famous Fort Worth, Texas-based company that went out of business during the pandemic a couple of years ago. You also had Tuesday Morning, another Texas-based retailer. The Container Store is at 80 cents per share, so they're not looking too great. They're about to be delisted because they need to stay above $1 per share to be on the New York Stock Exchange. So it'll be interesting to see what product categories to continue to increase in terms of opening up in brick and mortar. And another big thing is, I know services is a huge thing. I mean, it's hard to do jiu-jitsu and other gym activities and get instructions if you're at home, especially if you do it in a gym. So maybe that'll be, if I were to gamble, and again, I don't recommend it, but I think that would be one of the fastest growing categories in terms of opening up a physical location, because you can actually drive more value to that. But let me know, when's the last time you saw a new brick and mortar? And what's your preference if you're looking for a product? Do you think it's easy? I mean, the old cliche at Blockbuster was you would go there because you could browse, which, again, obviously you have the algorithms and the magical technology. They'll basically show you what you want to know before you know it, which is kind of concerning and creepy, but impressive as well. But, I mean, probably dating myself quite a bit. Part of the fun of going to Blockbuster was just, walking around the aisles, seeing the Nintendo 64 games they had, renting Gauntlet N64. I think it was just called Gauntlet 64. It was probably one of the best games for like sleepovers and hanging out with the guys back in the day. And I didn't know about the game until I just walked around the aisle and had a cool, this really aged me, the video game card in a cardboard box, which they actually had the display at the Blockbuster. And behind it, you get the rental plastic box. Those were the days. Well, I was also not paying taxes, so, there's a little bit of added nostalgia. Gas is under $2 a gallon. Yeah. But I partially digress. Let me know in the comments. So what's your favorite brick and mortar? Which one do you think will expand more in 2024? Even though, this is going to be a tough year for most businesses, as always, I'd be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to tune in. Again, try to get 4,000 subscribers by the end of the month, so if you could click that button, I would greatly appreciate it. Also, leaving a thumbs up, thumbs down, or comment is a great way to give me some additional feedback, letting me know how I can make the show better and better. Lastly, don't forget to take the time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe, fight the good fight.